Hello everyone, and welcome to Defro Gaming's post-E3 Roundup. Now it's a little bit late, but that's not to matter. I've been doing other things. Go away, Borderlands. Here I will talk about what I thought of all the conferences and what games I'm looking forward to. So we're going to look at each of the conferences individually, and I'm going to just have a little look and analysation stuff. So let the analysation commence. To start with, newcomers in the form of Bethesda were the first to show off their new releases. With promising huge titles like Fallout 4, Dishonored 2 and Doom, there was much to get excited about. Their other offerings failed to raise the pulse, however, with an Elder Scrolls card game, which kind of is just a Hearthstone knockoff, let's be honest here, and an expansion to the Elder Scrolls Online. There's also a new free-to-play team combat game, which I don't currently remember the name of. It will be on the screen. And they perhaps weren't as well received by the audience as the main releases. But, you know, in terms of main releases, Fallout 4, something people are very excited about. Doom, that actually looks very, very good. And Dishonored 2, no gameplay, but that seemed to get people exciting, and it's exciting. Seemed to get people excited anyway. Now, my favourite game here is going to be Fallout 4. Microsoft started off strong with titles such as Gears of War 4, Dark Souls 3, Halo 5 and Forza 6, pleasing long-time fans of each series. There are a few interesting new IPs too, as well as Recore, a game from the creators of Mega Man and Metroid, Cuphead, a cartoon-style action platformer, and Gigantic, a new online game which I can't really describe. I think it's a team-based versus monsters type dealie. Microsoft also announced Rare Replay, a compilation of classic Rare games which is sure to please many a nostalgic mind. Hardware-wise, there was a new controller, which was the Xbox One Elite controller, I believe, and it features very high customization and even swappable sticks and buttons, so that's something for the budding customizable gamer. On top of that, they've also got new Microsoft HoloLens, which they managed to show off with Minecraft, which also looked very impressive, and to see it working at the conference was certainly something to behold. On top of all this, they also announced backwards compatibility for the Xbox One, which means you can now play a library of 360 games on your Xbox One, which is also very useful for those that don't want to leave their Xbox 360 plugged in. Now, my favourite game here, I'm going to say, is Halo 5, although I don't have an Xbox One yet. It'll have to be something I consider for the time being. EA bought many of their usual offerings, mostly revolving around sports. They even bought out on Pele to talk about FIFA 16, and he had a little chat about his football experiences, which I'm not sure was particularly well received, but it was nice to see Pele up on the stage anyway. Aside from that, a new Mass Effect game, a new Need for Speed game, and a new Yarn platformer game called Unravel, which has an adorable cat protagonist Yarn thing, are all games to look forward to. Other than those, Plant vs Zombies 2, Garden Warfare 2, and other mobile games were all EA had to offer. Also a Minions mobile game, but fuck Minions, I hate them. My favourite game here is going to be Unravel, because the developer had such soul. He had the most soul out of anyone at the EA conference trying to push his game across to his audience, which is more than I can say for any of the other EA executives. Overall, Ubisoft had a relatively predictable conference. Bar a new South Park game, an unexpected entry from the Ghost Recon series called Wildlands, and a new IP for Honor, which is a kind of historical battle sorts game, there weren't too many unexpected announcements. Several Tom Clancy games took centre stage, including Siege and The Division, all with orchestrated mic chat over the top of the gameplay to add authenticity, although it really just made it pretty cringeworthy. Other than this, an Assassin's Creed sequel and expansions for Trials and The Crew took precedence on its main stage. Also Just Dance with an appearance by Jason Derulo, but I'm not into that, so I didn't really pay much attention. My favourite game here, I'm going to have to say, is Ghost Recon Wildlands, because it looks pretty good. I mean, it's got that sort of open world, take your own approach to taking out buildings and drug cartels thing that I love from games like Just Cause and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll look forward to that one. Sony by far had the biggest surprises this E3, right out of the gate confirming that The Last Guardian was still in development and actually coming out next year. Two other shocking announcements came in the form of a Final Fantasy VII remake and a Kickstarter for Shenmue 3, which has already broken several Kickstarter records. Now, from Media Molecule, the studio behind Little Big Planet, a game called Dreams was also announced, which allows players to create and animate in the world of Plasticine, kind of like your own Aardman-style studio. Hello Games also made an appearance, showing off some No Man's Sky, although apart from just normal gameplay, no announcement date yet. Sony also had a lot of exclusive content for multi-platform games such as Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Assassin's Creed and Disney Infinity, getting in there trying to grab their exclusive content, although it's a big giver that they managed to get hold of Call of Duty Black Ops 3 for their conference this year, and Microsoft did not, so that's quite different for once. Disappointingly, Project Morpheus and the Vita were not really mentioned too much in this conference, more time instead dedicated to PlayStation Vue, a new paid-for TV service which, as many people responded to the original conferences for the Xbox One, I don't think people were too impressed with. Other titles worth mentioning from this conference are Uncharted 4, Horizon Zero Dawn, a new IP, and a new Hitman game. Now my favourite game here, and this may shock a lot of people because I love all of the classic stuff, I'm actually going to say No Man's Sky because I've been looking forward to that one since last E3. I've never really played Final Fantasy VII very much, so I'm not too bothered about a remake. I might give it a try, and I never had a Dreamcast, so Shenmue 3 is not also something really I am looking forward to. So I'm going to say No Man's Sky. Post all hate below. Now for many people, Nintendo's conference was well, they didn't even have a conference really, it was just a digital event. But for many people it was a disappointment this year, only really having games that have sort of been in the loop already for a while. So Super Mario Maker made an appearance, I'm quite looking forward to that. Star Fox Zero, a new Star Fox game also co-developed by Platinum Games. Hyrule Warriors Legends for the 3DS, so that's a re-release. Yoshi's Woolly World, a kind of like a Kirby's Epic Yarn style adventure but with Yoshi, and Metroid Prime Federation Force, which has caused quite an uproar on the internet given that it's not a proper, so-called proper Metroid game, and a new Mario and Luigi game called Paper Jam, where Paper Mario and Luigi meet up with regular 3D Mario and Luigi. So Nintendo had their World Championship this year, which also was very fun to watch, and it also showcased a couple of the new games. But I think lots of people are quite disappointed with their digital event because there's nothing really to extend the life of the Wii U beyond next year, and next year is when Nintendo are assumed to announce their new console. So disappointingly, Nintendo perhaps haven't grabbed as many people this year as they perhaps hoped they did. Now my favourite game here is going to be Super Mario Maker because it does look very cool, and you can stack Bowsers, and who doesn't want to do that? Square Enix seemed to draw the short straw this E3, having the last conference of all the big major developers and everything, because most of their games had already been announced on in other conferences. So the games that were talked about in Square Enix include Just Cause 3, a new Nier game, which I never realised was that popular, and also the developer of Nier also came on in a creepy mask face thing. I never played Nier, so that's a reference I'll probably never understand. Kingdom Hearts 3, after a bunch of trolling from the boss of Square Enix, so many people are actually looking forward to that eventually. A game called World of Final Fantasy, which is kind of like a cutesy, chibi Final Fantasy game. Project Setsuna, which is a new IP from, I think it's There's a new developer that's been made in Japan, and I don't remember the name. That will also be on the screen. And they also talked about Tomb Raider as well. And they had a bunch of other games to talk about. I think at this point people were pretty bored in the Square Enix conference. You know, most of the games already having been announced in the other conferences. Now my favourite game here, and it's getting onto one of my favourite games of all time, at least the series, Just Cause 3. My, am I looking forward to this game. All that destruction and stuff, I'll probably explode of excitement. And that brings me to the end of my E3 roundup. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Overall, it's been a pretty good E3. There's not been any sort of clear winner in my mind. I mean, for many people, Sony was the big winner. But for me, I think every conference had something to offer, something that I'm looking forward to. And so my top 5 games I'm looking forward to from this year's E3. Number 1, Just Cause 3. Number 2, Fallout 4. Number 3, Dishonored 2. Number 4, No Man's Sky. And number 5, Super Mario Maker. So I'll keep my fingers crossed that all these games come out on time, and hopefully it'll be great fun and it'll be a fantastic year for gaming. Any games I missed in my list I will be adding to the description of the video, so if you want to let me know of any of the games I've missed, plop them in the comments and I'll rectify my mistakes as soon as I can. Anyway guys, thank you very much for listening, and till next year's E3, ciao!